We have celebrity chef, king of hospitality, Josh Capon on the pod. We went into a deep dive of his story, much, much more. This guy brought the energy. So let's just get into it.
You know where you are!
This is the OutliersPodcast. Let's go! I've been following you now for about a year and a half, actually since VCR movement started, which was back in, 2021, 2020?
Yep, about that, yep.
Yeah, man, just seeing your evolution and you're always on the go. Were you at the restaurant last night? Where were you at last night?
I was at the restaurant last night. If I'm in town and the restaurant's open, I am at the restaurant. Because I am confident to say wherever I am, people have a good time.
I could see that. I feel that. What restaurant were you at? Little Maven?
Little Maven, yep. Little Maven, West 18th Street, between 5th and 6th, just opened up about 4 months ago.
It's blown up.
Rocking and rolling, putting out some really good food, really good time, good people. It's going well.
And then now with all the movement and with what you're doing, I actually am curious to bring it back.
I love when you say the movement.
Yeah, it's a movement. I feel like you have a movement.
I like it. I appreciate it.
It's an energy, you know? It's like a train, and that's why I'm seeing it progressing, honestly. And then to go back, what's your earliest memory of the food industry or food in general?
You know, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I'm sitting here with you, Stephen.
Yeah.
The owner of O Bagels, right? Who started a bagel concept. And I'm sitting here in front of a plate of everything bagels, right? And I'm going to pick up one of these everything bagels because they are still warm.
Of course. I'm not going to bring cold.
Well, and I have to respect that. So it's funny that we're about to eat everything bagel because you asked me one of my earliest childhood food memories. And I'm going to tell you something that you didn't know. I invented the everything bagel.
How did you invent the everything? Like, confidently, you actually believe that?
I'm going to say it again, Stephen.
Yeah.
I invented the everything bagel. I was working at Pomona Bagels. I was in junior high school.
Okay.
I was probably 15 years old. Me and my best friend, Jason Prussian, decided to take a job at a bagel store, which is probably the dumbest thing. We were both husky. Back then, you weren't chubby, you weren't fat, you were husky. Yeah. We were both husky kids in high school, junior high. We took a job at a bagel store, working Friday, Saturday, Sunday mornings. Both put on 20 pounds. We never lost. And just used to eat all day bagels and cookies and donuts.
Yeah.
But the truth is, one day, we were making the bagels. You know when you boil the bagels first,
of course,
right? Then you throw them on the planks, right?
Yep,
and
on the
then you
burlap.
season them up.
Yeah.
So one day we were seasoning them up, and all the extra seasoning from the sesame, from the onion, from the poppy, from the garlic, everything was on the bottom.
Yeah.
And I said to Stella, who owned Pomona Hot Bagels, I said, "Hey, Stella, I got an idea." I took up all the seasoning, which turned into I said, "Let's make everything bagels." I started she goes, "Stop playing around, just do the job I'm paying you to do." And I said to her, "I think we're onto something here. Like, hello, early strike of genius at a young age." And she literally, I think she threw the bagels away. And then about a month later, 2 months later, David's Bagels, literally up the block, is on the record as invented the everything bagel. And I think somebody was watching me and took me to the bagel store. By the way, I got to tell you, if you haven't been to Old Bagel in Hoboken, I just took my kids about, 3 weeks ago when we randomly met?
Yeah.
Some of the best bagels I've ever had, some really unique bagel sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches, really good stuff. I drove 45 minutes to get there, and I got to tell you, it was well worth it. So thank you for bringing us.
No, I appreciate it, man. It was cool to see you and your kids. And I know random Saturday or Sunday morning. Obviously, I knew of you. You came because your kids saw, obviously, Old Bagel and was like, and you're just a good father. You're like out there just trying to present. And so I appreciate that.
Both my kids are gluten-free, and you do a very good gluten-free version, so that's something to
I actually, honestly, I won't even take credit for the gluten-free. We actually get it from California, Original Sunshine. So shout out to them, because I don't want to deal with that cross-contamination stuff. So I actually don't mess around with that
too much. You just make them offer.
Yeah, we just double toast. But the regular everything bagels for sure.
I'm going to teach you something right now, Stephen.
Yeah.
Those are the bagels that you make at O Bagels.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's under your umbrella. It's your bagel, so take credit for it.
No, I appreciate it, man. I just and I think it's cool. So how long were you working at that bagel store? Was that your first food? Was that your first job?
That was
in the food industry?
Yeah, that was my first job. I worked at a bagel store. I used to stuff the jelly donuts. It's funny when you
they have donuts too.
Oh, dude, donuts, cookies, bagels.
They didn't do back in the day with bagel stores. They didn't really do too many sandwiches. It was just like
we did
hot bagels.
We did. We used to get white for salad, smoked salmon, tuna, all that stuff. I remember when I first started there, and I like to eat.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started there, I didn't know what to eat first. I was like, by 2 weeks after working there, I couldn't even look at that stuff anymore. I didn't want a donut. I didn't want anything. It was just like I became numb to it all. But that was my first job, bakery. Then I became a dishwasher. Didn't like doing that, so I kind of moved up real fast to a busboy. And then I got my big break, as I like to call it, my big break. I was working at Our Gang Inn in Pomona, New York, and I was a busboy. And I remember one Saturday morning shift, the lead line cook, Johnny, called out sick. And he wasn't sick because Johnny was getting hammered the night before because I was watching them all get hammered at the bar. I was young. I didn't drink back then. And this guy called out sick, and the owner was freaking out. And I told him, I said, I could do it. He goes, what do you mean you can do it? You're just a busboy. I said, dude, it's eggs and omelets and French toast and pancakes. I go, I make this stuff all the time at home. Just give me a shot. And eventually got to the point where we had no choice. He goes, all right, you get back there and you do it. So I got back behind the line, and I just started picking up all the egg dishes and French toast and omelets. And I remember, you know the term amuse-bouche means?
No.
Amuse-bouche is a French term that means a gift from the chef. So if you ever go to a fine dining restaurant or a fancy restaurant, a lot of times before you order, right, they say, oh, this is a little amuse-bouche. It's a little bite size of nothing, but they make it look fancy. It's a little gift from the chef to say welcome for coming. So I remember back then I was literally cutting apple slices and coring them out and dipping them into pancake batter. And I was making homemade apple fritters. They weren't on the menu, and I was sending them out to all the VIPs. And I was doing an amuse-bouche before I knew what amuse-bouche was. So that was my big break, and I've never looked back since.
How old were you then?
17, 18.
So did you know did you fall in love with the food industry immediately, or what was that process like?
I think I complained about my mom's school lunches one too many times, and she finally said, screw you, make your own lunch. So I started making my school lunches. I started working at a young age from the bakery to the busboy to the dishwasher to a line cook. My mom always said I'd either be an oceanographer, because I love dolphins, or I'd be in the food business. I went on to University of Maryland, where I lasted a couple of years, and I say lasted because I was not performing very well academically. And, the big tuition and stuff like that, my parents were smart enough to realize that and acknowledge that. And although I was having a very good time, I was collecting $20 for all my fraternity brothers and going shopping and cooking dinner every night.
Oh, really?
That's what I was spending my time doing. So I realized I enjoyed food. I enjoyed bringing people together. Those two things made me very happy. And again, my parents were smart enough to realize this was not a great place for me to be. I was not thriving, so to speak. I failed accounting twice, and I'm not very proud to say that, but I just didn't engage in it. I was like, I used to take these finals. They could have been in Japanese. I'm like, this is making no sense. I'm not a numbers guy.
Yeah.
So, but at least they were smart enough to acknowledge it. They took me on a tour of Johnson & Wales University, and I remember taking a tour of the culinary school and seeing everybody in their chef jackets and their neckerchiefs and cooking and doing all this stuff. And I like to say that I made a very mature decision at a young age to kind of transfer out of Maryland, where I was having a great time socially, and just get on with the rest of my life. And I went to a trade school. I met some very like-minded individuals like myself that were in similar situations. My roommate, Mark Roth, was from Boston University that was also just floundering. And we had a good time. We used to hang out, got nothing but, I went to culinary school, got nothing but straight A's in the business classes and in the culinary program, and I thrived. And from there, I got an externship with Charlie Palmer at Oriel. I worked for David Burke. I've always wanted to travel. My dad has always encouraged me to leave the nest, so to speak, and I thought that cooking could be my passport to travel the world. So I wound up cooking in Colorado. I worked in Germany, Italy, Spain, and France for a year. Food is all we got left, man. Food is the final frontier. We're living in a world that is upside down and batshit crazy right now. Food is all we got left.
Yeah.
So,
because there's things that could be modernized and so much, but at the end of the day, everyone has to eat.
I'm looking at bagels.
Experience.
I'm looking at these bagels right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, wherever you go, knows what a bagel is.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those foods that, like, there's something comforting about it. Saturday,
feeds the
Sunday
soul.
Morning, it feeds the soul.
Feeds the soul.
People, there are good ones. People have their favorites. We argue all the time in town who's got their favorite bagel. If I go someplace else, I drove 50 minutes to your place because my son found it on the gram.
Yeah.
I was like, Dad, can we go here? So I'm like, let's go. And you know what? To me, it was less an excuse about going for bagels as it was to get both of my kids in the car for 50 minutes, have some nice conversations along the way, go meet some new people. And look, I went to bagels. You happen to be standing there. We made a nice relationship, made a nice connection. The bagels brought us together, and here we are having a nice conversation in what's going to be Capon's Shop House pretty soon.
Hell yeah, I would love that. Honestly, that's beautiful you said that, because I agree with that with food. Sometimes you don't even realize how much relationships are evolved through that. Every time with your date with your wife or your girlfriend or a friendship or whatever it may be. Going back to what you said about your parents, that must have been that's such a beautiful thing, that how supportive they were when within your industry at that time. Especially back then. I would say you named all those names that I admire, right? Charlie Palmer and David Burke. But then it was they were superstars, but not like now.
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And so you being a push through and all of that. So what was like after that? So were they your biggest mentors, or was there someone else that like helped you before the next your first restaurant?
Well, I appreciate you saying that about my parents, and I think if you have kids, and I have two, and you have two young ones yourself, I think you got to listen to your kids, man. Especially these days, you got to listen to them. You got to pay attention to them. It's challenging raising kids these days, but I do credit them a lot for realizing what made me tick. I probably had ADD back in the day. I still do. That was never diagnosed, but like now that my mom realizes stuff like that, like it's funny because they instilled some good stuff in me. My dad always put good food on the table. My mom, I had to be home on dinner for Shabbos dinner on Friday night. I used to fight it, but you know what? What's more important at the end of a week? Just having dinner with your family.
Yeah.
I used to catch up with my friends afterwards, and it wasn't so much about Shabbos. It was more about, hey, we've been running around all week. Let's have dinner together and then go do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think today more than ever with phones and everything like that, and again, the bagel trip for me was about being in the car with my kids and laughing and shopping along the way. And we had friends coming over that night, so we had Whole Foods on the way home. And again, I say life is about relationships. I say that all the time. Life is about relationships. Look how, if I didn't take that trip that day, was it about the bagels? Or was it about maybe meeting you and our cross passing? Maybe it was meant to be. So, yeah.
And then, so fast forward after you went to culinary school and cooking all over the world, when was your first restaurant? What was that first step? Like the one that you actually knew?
Graduated culinary school, drove out to Colorado with a buddy of mine who had a job at a hospital. And I saw him locally at Monday Night Football, and he said to me, hey, I'm driving out to Colorado. If you drive out with me, my dad will fly you back, because they didn't want him to drive by himself. I said, when are you leaving? He goes, Wednesday. I said, if you leave on Friday, I'll go with you. And I took my knives. I got 7 job offers in 2 days. I worked in Colorado for a season. Supported myself the entire time. Worked across overseas. Came back. I took over Alva for Charlie Palmer as executive chef. I was the executive chef at Matthews. Then that led me to Canteen, eventually to Lore, where I eventually became a partner in Lore, Barry Meat Company, El Toro Blanco, and Burger and Barrel. And then I left there 3 years ago to realign myself with David Rowledge and Gary Vaynerchuk, and that's when we started the VCR group.
That must have been first of all, it says a lot about you and being a part of a team that they just wanted to keep you as a talent. I mean, the fact that you're able to evolve and go to all these different concepts, were you able, any of those concepts you were able to like actually create yourself, or were you coming in as a corporation? And like, I know you're a partner in a lot of those.
Yeah, look, I think one thing I'm realizing now, and maybe other people realize, it's I'm a brand, I'm a personality. I like to have a good time. I don't want to be stuck in the back of the kitchen, doing all the cooking. I like to bring the place to life. I like to make the connection between the food and the people. I had two randomly. I was at Little Maven last night. I am going to go on the record as saying I had 2 first dates going on there last night. I had a guy and a girl at the bar who I quickly noticed. I'm like, that's definitely a first date, right? They didn't have dinner. They just met for drinks. And I was watching them for a little while. They were having a good time, really nice conversation, having a drink. And I noticed their drinks were both empty. And eventually I walked over and said, hey, what's going on here? You come over with the chef jacket. What's going on? You having a good time? Yeah, great. Place is great. I go, you guys eat? They're like, no, we both ate before. I said, oh. I said, date? They said, yeah. I said, first date. I said, so let me guess. You both didn't want to commit to dinner. You just figure we meet for drinks. They're like, yeah, you know how it is. I'm like, I said to the girl, first of all, always take them up on dinner. What's the worst thing that could happen? You have a nice dinner and you go home and never speak to each other again.
Yeah, at least you get home full stomach.
I said, what did you eat? She goes, oh, I made some leftover roast chicken at home. I said, take them up on dinner. How bad can the company be that you can't wait to, So it was fun. Because I said, first of all, I think we both need another round of drinks. Because if you're dating early, at least have a couple of drinks to loosen up a little bit. And then I brought him out some chocolate chip cookies that we make with some vanilla ice cream. And then eventually I had my bartender. I told my bartender, hey, take a picture. I took the guy's phone. I said, take a picture of 3 of us. I took a picture of 3 of us. And then literally I said, all right, I'm going to step out of the picture. And I took the guy's hand and put it around the girl. And now they have a really cute picture of the 2 of them at Little Maven on their first date. And I'm telling you, I also told the guy, I said, we have an omakase spot called Ito.
In Vegas, right?
In Ito and in Tribeca. We just opened up at the Newfound Blue in Vegas and Tribeca. So I said to the girl, I said, you like omakase? She goes, oh my God, I love omakase. So I said, you tell him right now, if he wants a second date, you want to go to Ito. So now I just locked up the second date. I locked up 2 reservations in Ito. But and then the guy said, take my number. He said, take my number. If you ever need a reservation, let me know. 10 minutes later, I get a text. Hey, so-and-so, I just met you with the lovely Hannah. The lovely Hannah. So when they left, I said, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself, blah, blah, blah. I said, by the way, I said, I showed the guy, I said, I want to show you what he just said about you. I said, you're not just Hannah. You're the lovely Hannah. And she lit up. And he looked at me like, hey, thanks for I gave the guy this.
Yeah, dude, I thought you were a chef. You're actually a fucking wingman.
Matchmaker.
You're getting this guy laid, dude.
Believe me, I close. I don't want to go on the record here.
You're helping close a lot of deals.
I close a lot of deals. I actually tell people all the time, don't ever come to my restaurant on a first date because it's too much. You come second or third date, you're done.
I'm surprised they didn't propose.
Yeah, there was another guy that was sitting there also on a first date. I could tell it was a little more awkward. I wasn't sure how good this was going. And I said everything was good. I sent him out some cookies with ice cream. Cookies. I said, hey, give me your phone. And then next day I said, let's take a picture together, first date. And I kind of went like this to them because they were like, it was like we were sitting.
Yeah.
I said, go like this. So next thing, body chemistry is everything.
Yeah.
Next thing they close you up together. And when I took the picture, it wasn't like they went like this. Sometimes people need a little nudge, and I'm happy to provide that little nudge.
And it seems like the cook. I cannot wait to go. And my wife, because she loves cookies, those look like the best chocolate chip cookies.
I'm not gonna lie,
it's unbelievable. Something about the visuals of it. I've never even seen a visual of a cookie like that.
There's a couple of secret ingredients there too, but they're a good.
I bet.
Cookie, yeah.
Are you a part of the recipe development and all of that as well, or are you like?
I like to be involved in everything. I mean, I have an executive chef. I cannot take credit for those cookies, although I did suggest we serve. Look, pastry programs in general are very challenging these days.
For sure.
I think pastry chefs were the first people to lose their job during COVID because it was like an additional expense that, whatever pastry sales, dessert sales, like 3 to 5% of a restaurant. And for what you pay for the program, there's not a great return there. So I've always just loved chocolate chip cookies. We had an event one night where I literally bought, if you've never had the brown butter chocolate chip cookies at Whole Foods, I highly recommend them. Just saying. They are very good. And they also sell them frozen, just dough balls that you can bake at home. I'm going to say it again. The brown butter chocolate chip cookies at Whole Foods are very good. And I brought in a bunch of those for the party. And people just love chocolate chip cookies. And I didn't tell them they were from Whole Foods. And we put some ice cream on them. So Angela, our executive sous chef, she took it and ran with it and made these unbelievable chocolate chip cookies with a couple secret ingredients in it that I'm not telling you what they are. But they're fabulous. And when they come out warm out of the oven with a scoop of vanilla ice cream, what more do you need for dessert?
Talk about bagels. It's the same thing with. I feel like chocolate chip cookies. It's bagels for breakfast. I feel like it's pizza for lunch and dinner. Yep. You know what I mean? And then it's chocolate chip cookies.
Sometimes just simplicity wins. So.
Big time. So when you open up a restaurant, what do you, besides the service aspect and the action, how about like the coming up of it? Do you love like building out a restaurant, or do you love when it's lights are on, doors are open, that's when you shine, or what part of the restaurant?
That's a very interesting question, because if David Rodlitz was right here, he would know the answer to that question. David, a.k.a. Roddy, is my partner. It was funny because we were building this restaurant, Little Maven, and I don't know if I was behind the scenes, but like, I definitely added my touches here and there. But the truth is, I came alive once that restaurant was open. Just give me the space. Give me a platform, give me a kitchen, give me some good food, and I will blow some shit up. I come to life. I mean, again, I don't want to be in the back cooking the whole time. I want to make sure people are enjoying their food, connecting the food. One of my favorite things is walking over to a table. You get 6 people at a table. They're all looking at the menu. They don't know what to order. It's like first of all, let's remember something, especially in New York City. I need to turn that table, right? With all due respect. Like if you called Nobu, I remember I called Nobu 35 years ago for a reservation for a girlfriend at the time. I made a reservation at 7 o'clock. They told me on the phone, we need that table back at 8:30. Until this day, they still have that policy. It's like an hour and a half, maybe. You need table time. So first of all, I just want to get the party started. So when there's a table of 4, 6, 8, I just go over with the server. I'm like, you ready? I'm like, you trust me? Like, they're like, who are you? I'm like, I am the menu. I'm the walking menu right here. Like, so they realize I'm the chef, and I'm just happy to take away. And people love relinquishing that. Like, yeah, whatever you want. Like, let's have some fun. I'm like, I'm not going to kill you. Nobody's going to roll out of here. I'm not going to gouge you on the bill. But I know this menu, and I know what you guys should eat and how much of it. Mm-hmm. And most of them are like, let's just go. And they're just happy to have that kind of
service.
Handheld. Yeah. Like, I'm an old
wingman, walking menu, chef.
Yes, wingman. Closer, enabler.
Enabler, yeah. I like that. You should put that on your new bio on Instagram.
My friends call me the enabler sometimes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
How did you connect with? How did you start VCR? Like, how did that happen?
Roddy and I have been dear friends for a long time. Roddy was a partner in the Ampelion group. Okay. With, Alex Stupak. He had a great career. We lived in the same building with our kids. He was a big fan of mine. He used to come to the restaurant all the time. Gary used to come to the restaurant all the time. It just got to the point where I think Roddy was ready for a change. I think I was ready for a change. I just didn't know it until he kept throwing it in my face. Mm-hmm. And I mean that because I'm very appreciative of it. it was just time for a change. It was a time for a new chapter in my life, in his life. I am very, it's very rewarding to surround yourself professionally with people that respect and appreciate what everybody brings to the table. Because I think to be successful, everybody needs to bring something else to the table. It's like, look at like there's 4 legs to a chair. Like there's 4 legs to a chair. There's not one chair. Maybe the table there is, but there's no I in team. And I think if you bring people together that respect each other and support each other and push each other to be better, that's a good recipe for success.
I think also with the team, I agree with that. I feel like I always ask before, I bring anyone on the team or anything I'm looking at. I've been able to like itemize exactly what I love to do the most, and then everything I don't like to do, and then match somebody what they love to do.
That's great.
And what do you love to do? So you love to just do you also bring in a certain team? Because you're a leader, you're a natural leader. Is it really just like, hey, this is the type of restaurant, when the doors open, I'm here? Like what type of roles do you love to do the most?
I do enjoy building teams. This is Chef Lucas. Pop your head over here for a second. Just come on right here. This is Chef Lucas Billheimer, who is a dear friend first, who's going to be our executive chef over here at
so he's getting his hands dirty, man.
We've worked together for 10 plus years in many different kitchens together, and he's a solid cat. He's a great dude. He's a family guy. He's a friend first, but he was looking for an opportunity to come back to Jersey, and I was opening up this place, and literally when this place was presented to me in my head, it was conditional. If he took the job, I was going to sign the lease. If he didn't take the job, I was like, I'm not so sure. So to create an opportunity for him, to create a team, he's going to be the foundation of this whole restaurant. So when opportunities present themselves, I think the most important thing is to bring people together that can to create that vision for you that you trust. And I know whether I'm here or not, he knows the vision that I want to do. He gets me. I think that's the most important thing. And he's got a great opportunity now to go ahead and run with it. Right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Can't wait to open it.
Thanks.
Nice, man.
By the way, all kidding aside, we actually don't eat that. By the way, don't eat that. Okay. We have fresh bagel sandwiches waiting for us from.
Oh yeah, you can grab one right now.
No, we're gonna eat lunch together. He's got a turkey club. We got the Italian sky. And we got the caprese. We got some
pesto chicken.
Pesto chicken. We got some French toast bagels with strawberry cream cheese. I'm telling you, Old Bagel.
My guy, I appreciate that, man. And that's I agree. It's funny with like the team aspect. I actually work now not only with my family, but my other 2 head of operations, because we have 5 locations.
You have 5 already?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Is my 2 college roommates.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's cool. I think now I'm just trying to evolve and figure out what our next steps
Listen,
are.
that's amazing. I got to tell you, I'm not going to lie. I have a couple of friends who are, I'm just going to say it, miserable doing what they're doing.
Oh.
They hate their job.
Yeah.
And they've often said to me, Capon, let's just, like, how do we get on your train? Like, what can we do? I'm like, want to be a restaurant manager? Like, it's pretty cool. Like, if you continue down the path you are, and you should have from 5 locations to 10 to 20, you're going to need some really good people when everybody makes some money. It's fun. You have a good time doing what you're doing.
I think what's scary, I think myself and maybe other people could obviously relate. You're obviously seasoned now, and I feel like you're very confident with what you do best. And I feel like it takes a long time to figure out, like, what the ideal scenario is every step of the way. If you can give yourself advice when you first started, the Chef Josh, like right at Culinary, what advice would you have to prevent maybe any mishaps or anything like that?
STFD. You know what that means? STFD. I recently engaged an executive coach, and one of the first thing he said to me, he goes, write these letters down. STFD. You know what that stands for?
No.
Slow the fuck down. Sorry, I know there's kids out there. Slow the fuck down, because I think for me, one of my biggest regrets, and I try not to regret anything, but sometimes I wished I maximize opportunities and what's the right word? Absorbed certain things. Like, I worked in Italy. I was making pasta every day. I wasn't even thinking about it. If you told me to go back there and make pasta right now, it wouldn't be as fluid as it should be. You know what I mean? Like go home. Like if you're a young cook in the kitchen, and you're working whatever restaurant you're working in, and you're staging or you're working, keep a journal. Go home. Write down what you made today. What did you learn today? Like, hey, I learned this great recipe. Like, because it's the same thing in school. When you write stuff down, you absorb it. Very often we're doing this. We're talking on our phone. Everything's pictures. Like, when you write something down, you tend to absorb it a little more. I mean, I love that you're sitting here with a book in front of you. You took the time to write down questions that you're going to ask me. I think to me, it's just really maximizing every opportunity, maximizing every relationship. I said before, life is about relationships, and communication is the key to life. And just really taking it all and being appreciative of everything, and just not moving too fast, and thanking people along the way. I worked for a guy who taught us you have to get 20 business cards at least a week and write out hand thank you letters. Right? Because when you grab somebody's business cards, it's a very powerful tool. But when you send them, and this was before emails and stuff like that, if you actually send them a letter, it hits. It hits. Yeah. And even today with the world of emails and all this kind of stuff, you get a personal letter from somebody, even if it's just typed out on a piece of paper, as opposed to just a quick email, there's something there that I think resonates with people. And I think it's really, really... I was recently with Guy Fieri in his house, and he received a personal letter from somebody, and I watched him, and he was just very taken back by it, that they took the time to write that. And so I think for me, it's just slowing down a little bit, make it every opportunity count, every conversation count, every interaction count, every meal count, and life is short, man. Don't kid yourself. It could be tomorrow, it could all be over. We're living in a world that's upside down about shit crazy, some bad shit going on out there. So I just think, to me, it's enjoying the ride.
Is there... No, I'm 33 years old now, and obviously
Patrick Ewing, my favorite Knick of all time. Number 33 for the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing.
I love that immediately came to your mind, and the fact that you actually said that.
Should have won a ring. That guy deserved a ring so bad.
That's like my guy Dan Marino. I'm a Dolphins guy.
Of course, Dan Marino deserves
I'm a diehard Miami Dolphins
fan. He'll
fan.
have the perfect season forever, but big Dan Marino fan. Worked with him a couple of times.
Did you?
Dude, yeah, great guy. Deserves a ring. He's still one of the greatest of all time, but when you get to be that good.
Have you ever been starstruck? Because you work with a lot of heavy hitters. You've met a lot of heavy hitters.
Yeah. I mean,
have you gotten starstruck?
What does it mean to be starstruck?
I guess maybe a little nervous or be like, oh, shit.
I'll tell you one thing. You put on a chef coat. If you ever want to get into a party that you can't get into, put on a chef coat and just keep walking. Nobody ever stop you. So as far as starstruck, I've had them all. I've had everybody in my restaurant, from presidents to... Listen, I had George Lucas in my restaurant. I'm a big Star Wars guy. I had George Lucas in my restaurant, and it was right after New Year's Eve, and I always buy these neon, they're called lifesavers. I have authentic lightsabers in my house in a movie room that we have that's a Star Wars theme, but I had these $4 lightsabers that were like neon glow sticks.
Yeah.
And I walked over to George Lucas's table with my lightsaber and put on a show. He goes, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. I go, I have the real ones at home, but this is all I have in the office. And he was hysterical. Like,
you performed?
Let me tell you something. Don't ever. Yeah, I did. I said, Lou, don't be intimidated by anybody. And like, is there anybody out there that's better than me? Of course, there's people that are better than me. But there was a famous chef back in the day that said we all cook with water. Meaning, no chef is better. We all start with water. What do you want to do with it is up to you. How far do you want to take it? How deep do you want to make that stock? But we all cook with water. And I think some of the best chefs in the world are always so humble because they know that, especially with young cooks. Intimidated, not so much. Listen, I recently, Tom Brady's the GOAT, right? Tom Brady's the GOAT. How many Super Bowl rings does Tom Brady have?
7.
How many Burger Bash titles do I have?
7.
So I was recently in a suite at the U.S. Open, and Tom Brady was there. And we have fly fish at the U.S. Open, so I make the best lobster rolls in the world. And I was walking around with lobster rolls. So what's my in here? How am I going to walk up to Tom Brady? Do I just hand him a lobster roll? No. So I walked to Tom Brady. I said, Tom, you and I have something very special in common. I said, we're both just a couple of goats. And he's looking at me like, but at least I intrigued him.
Yeah, of course.
He goes, all right, what do you got? I go, well, you have 7 Super Bowl championship rings, right? I go, I have 7 Burger Bash titles. I said, I'm the winningest chef in Burger Bash history. He's like, okay, pretty cool. He goes, you got some burgers? I go, no, but I got lobster rolls, and I wanted to know if you and your kids would like some lobster rolls. He goes, you know what, sounds good. He goes, I'm sitting right out front. I said, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to make you some fresh, warm, hot, buttery lobster rolls and bring it back. He goes, I'd appreciate that. And you're never going for the kill because obviously it is Tom Brady. Let's be honest. He is one of the greatest. Did I want a picture? Yeah, I wanted a picture. But I didn't walk up to him and be like, hey, Tom, can I get a picture?
Of course.
Would never do that.
Yes.
So what I did was I made a nice introduction. I happened to know his agent who gave me like the green light. You never want to step over people's toes. And I brought him the lobster rolls. I saw him eat the lobster rolls with his kids, which is pretty cool. And I waited. You always wait. And on the way out, I said, Tom, you mind if we grab a picture? And at that point, he's like, of course, like it wasn't just me. One of my least favorite things is when somebody walks up to me, and I'm a F-list celebrity compared to Tom Brady. But I am well known, and wherever I may be.
Especially in the food industry,
I
for
hate
sure.
when people walk over to me and say, "Hey, can we get a picture?" And I go, "Hey, how are you? What's your name?" "I'm Josh." Like, okay, you know who I am. I don't know who you are, but take a second to at least make that quick introduction, make a connection. You know, so with Tom, by the time I asked him for a picture, he's like, "Yeah, dude, like you just ran around and got me lobster rolls." I have a basement in my house, which you're more than welcome to come see one day. I have a ton of sports memorabilia. A ton. I have 37 signed NFL helmets. I have 57 baseballs. I have probably 100 footballs. Everything is signed. Now, when I tell you everything is signed, it's not signed by Dan Marino. It's signed by Dan Marino. But if you ever ask a professional athlete to sign something, if you just ask them to sign their name, you can sell that on eBay, right? If you ask them to put to Steven on it, or to Capon, or to Max, my son, they look at you like, oh, yeah. Now, because once you put a name on a signed item, it's worthless. Mm-hmm. You can't sell that to somebody.
Yeah.
I actually think it's priceless because I'll tell you, when you come to my basement one day, every every helmet that I have, whether it's signed by Troy Aikman or Strahan or Marshall Faulk, I can tell you the story behind it.
That's awesome.
There's a story behind it. And by the way, like when Troy Aikman came to my restaurant the first time, I didn't ask him to sign a helmet. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until the third or fourth time when him and Joe Buck knew me by then and knew every time they came into town for Monday Night Football that they were just going to be well taken care of by me. Nobody's going to bother them. They have a great meal. I'm all like it was a relationship first.
Yes.
And then by the third time, I'd be like, "Hey, Troy, you know, if you don't mind, I just happened to have a Dallas Cowboys helmet." And he's like, "Capon, whatever you want." You know, Marshall Faulk, I will go on the record, is one of the greatest human beings on the face of the earth, on and off the field. I mean, this guy used to come in all the time, still does. Just and you got to remember, to take a picture with somebody or to sign something takes how long?
2 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're creating a memory for a lifetime.
Yes.
So we do a big charity fundraiser that I'm involved in called the Tailgate with a Cause with my crew, the Section 6AH group. And it's a big deal. It's our annual way of giving back. And, you know, we're always looking for somebody to donate, somebody to raffle. And Marshall Faulk was coming in relatively before the event. And I asked him ahead of time. I said, "You know, I got my annual event coming on." He goes, "Capon, whatever you need. Whatever you need." I said, "Okay, cool." I ordered like 10 helmets, I ordered a bunch of stuff. And when he came to the restaurant, he was having dinner. I said, "You got 2 minutes?" He goes, "Whatever." He goes, "Whatever you need." I literally brought him in the back, and all this, everything's ready to sign with a Post-it saying, what I did was I pre-sold all this stuff for personalized signatures from Marshall Faulk. So it wasn't, he could have just rattled his name off and everything, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
When I put Steven, when I put Max, when I put Jacob, whoever name it was, these dads were like, "Oh, I'd love something signed to my son from Marshall Faulk." And I was able to charge more for it because it was personalized. And what took Marshall, maybe I bought him dinner that night. He probably wouldn't even let me. But what took him 3 minutes, raise money for a good cause, change kids' lives. They have and it's like, that's how your legend continues. You know, like when somebody has something, they can say, "Hey, it's Marshall Faulk signed that for me." Like, that's how your legend grows. So I think it's kind of nice. Nick Swisher, Yankee, one of the greatest Yankees of all time. That guy being in my restaurant, man, like, if you walked over to Nick Swisher as a Yankee fan, by the time you got to the table and started to feel remotely uncomfortable about approaching him, he's jumping up at you like, "Yo, what's up?"
I feel like you guys would probably connect big time.
Dude, they're one of the best. His energy, like, we're like unstoppable.
Yeah.
But like, by the time somebody's like, "Should I say hello? I don't want to bother him." He's like jumping up from the table like, "Hey, dude, you know, giving him hugs and take a picture." Like, great. So
I'm surprised you didn't do what you did with George Lucas. You just perform in front of every celebrity with whatever they're doing. Like a football player, you're just out of nowhere, be like, "Yo, catch!" You just throw it as fast as fucking possible.
I have done that.
Or try and tackle Marshall Faulk.
Who's the Olympic ice skater? There was an Olympic ice skater that was in my restaurant.
You tried to do a 360?
No, I walked over. I came through the restaurant doing, you know, the ice, like this thing.
Were you on socks?
Oh, no, this thing. I'm like ice skating around the restaurant. Listen, you know what? Like my dad always said, "Don't be normal. Everybody can be normal. Don't be normal." I'm not saying be crazy, but be fun, be adventurous, throw some shit at the wall, see what sticks. You know, you got to stand out a little bit. You know, I tell my kids that all the time too. You got to do something a little different these days. So, you know, we try and have some fun along the way. I got a lot of stories, but yeah.
I bet, man. I mean, I didn't realize. I knew that I knew your restaurants were all hot spots.
How about this one? I got
didn't know it was
Salt and
people.
Pepper. You remember? Remember Salt and Pepper?
It's like the '90s rap group,
Salt and
right?
Pepper. Come on. Salt and Pepper's here. Salt and Pepper's in my restaurant one day. I walk right over the table. I said, "Dan, dan, 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 dan," and I go, "Push it real good, dan, dan." I'm literally at the table going, Dan, I push you real. They are dying. And this was also towards the relatively end of their career. Who knows if people even know that. They freaking fell in love with me. They were at the restaurant weekly from that point on in, dying. Like, a little white boy going, Dan, dying. So then I think about 3 or 4 visits later, I ordered, or I went to, wherever I collect peppermills. I've always collected peppermills. So I bought these beautiful white peppermills, like really, really nice peppermills. And one of their visits, I asked them, I said, hey, just like Marshall Falk signed the football helmet.
No
I said, hey,
way.
guys, would you mind signing this salt and peppermill? And they look at each other, and they go, he's the first person to ever ask us to sign a salt and pepper shaker. I go, first of all, I can't believe you don't have your own line of salt and pepper shakers. Like, I'm sorry, you need a manager because I'm happen to be your manager. And they signed salt and pepper shakers that I have in my kitchen to this day.
Is your home a fucking museum or what?
It's not a museum, but I have some fun artifacts along the way.
That's cool.
The downstairs, it's funny. When I was working in the restaurants and collecting all these artifacts, not artifacts, but memorabilia. I lived in an apartment in the city.
Yeah, so it's flooded.
No, I had no place for everything. So I just, every now and then when I'd have enough of it, I'd fill up a box, and I took it to my sister Jennifer's house in Connecticut, and she would throw it in the garage. Right? I'd go up there every few weeks, just a couple more boxes. Finally, I just recently moved to a house in Jersey, and she's like, I don't know if you realize, but you have like a lot of stuff up here. I go, how much? She's like, a lot. Like, I think you need to rent a U-Haul. Like, this is not fitting in somebody's car. I said, wow. So I rented a U-Haul. I could not believe over the years. This is probably a 15-year collection brewing. So I could not believe how much stuff I had, to the point where I brought it all back to my house and I unpacked everything. And literally, I'm literally unpacking everything. And we just moved into a beautiful house. And it's funny because this is my wife, Lori, and Max walking in right now. So I'm literally unpacking all the memorabilia that I collected over 15, 20 years. I have it all laid out on the basement floor. And my wife looks at me, she goes, I don't know where you put any of this shit, but it's definitely staying downstairs.
Yeah.
It's not coming upstairs. And the house came with a pretty cool gym. Like, we had a gym. She's like, just put it all in there.
Yeah.
And again, maybe we'll incorporate some pictures if you want, but like, I have a wall of all NFL footballs. I have a wall of all NFL helmets.
That's
I have a
so
baseball
sick.
wall. I had a guy come in with a laser and like mount everything. So like my buddy and my son and some from guys like just to like they bring their sons over.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
like,
sick. I remember always being
museum.
infatuated by it too. That's like a goal of mine as well. It's funny you did that. Also, just shows not only we full circle, but how supportive your parents were. Talk about your sister being okay with that. Because if it was my sisters having that shit in the garage, dude.
She only had the stuff in the garage.
Who cares? My sister's
finally,
on me,
she was
dude.
like, finally, just get this shit out of
Yeah.
here. My wife was understanding enough to just say, oh, put it downstairs. And it's funny because this all comes full circle. We're talking about Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. I just recently opened up a few concepts in the brand new Fontainebleau Hotel in Las Vegas. Okay,
Capon Burgers, right?
Capon's Burgers. Finally have a burger shop with my name on it. Ito on the 63rd floor and Bar Ito. Right. Recently, Jeffrey Sofer, who owns the hotel, is very friendly with Tom Brady. Right. They just announced Tom Brady and Jim Gray. You know Jim Gray? Mm-mm. Jim Gray is a sports announcer. Okay. Tom Brady and Jim Gray are going to put together their own sports memorabilia museum in the hotel.
Wow.
Turns out Jim Gray, just like myself, has been collecting some crazy sports artifacts over the years, like all his personal collection. That's going to be, and Tom Brady started by donating his 6-7 rings.
Wow.
So the whole centerpiece of this little museum, sports collection in the hotel, is going to be Tom's 7 rings, along with everything else of his career. So people come visit it. And I don't know. I think I might have to donate a few things to this museum right now.
Yeah,
I got some stuff. I got some extra stuff. I got no more wall space.
How did you get connected with Fontainebleau? That's a huge deal. I mean, now as like, there's not many people in this world that could say, I have a restaurant in Vegas, let alone
So what did I
two.
tell you before? I told you 2 things. What are the 2 things I told you?
Relationships.
Life is about relationships.
Yeah.
So my partner Roddy has a wonderful relationship with Muffson. Brett Muffson is one of the presidents of the hotel. His brother. They were away one weekend. Whatever happened, like conversations just took place, and they were looking for a couple concepts. They had a burger concept that fell through. We pitched them Capon's Burgers. They fell in love with me and my personality and the burgers. Next thing they had, they didn't really know what to do with it. The 63rd floor of the hotel is called the Poodle Room. It's the crown jewel of the hotel. It is. I'm going to go on the record. You ready for this? It is the nicest room you've ever seen in the world. It's on top. It overlooks the whole strip. It's stunning. So through conversations, we decided to carve out a little nook, and we created an Ito omakase counter. So we have a small 14 seat omakase counter on the 63rd floor of the Crown Jewel Hotel.
Wow.
We also put a burrito concept. So again, like, you know, they have the culinary program in the Fontainebleau is second to none. There's 37 restaurants. I'm very proud and honored to have my name not just on the floor, but in lights in Vegas. And I'll tell you something else. Jeffrey Sulfur, who is the owner of the Fontainebleau, who you can be intimidated by, right? Very successful guy. I will never forget, we were out there for the grand opening with my wife. It was a grand opening of the hotel. It was his birthday weekend. The hotel was opening up. Justin Timberlake was performing. Tom Brady again was there. Everybody was there. And I remember it was the first time I was at the hotel. Up until now, and maybe we'll incorporate some pictures, but my name is on the floor. It says Capon's on the floor.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was the first time I was at the hotel where now it says Capon's and lights. And it's emotional.
Of course.
To have your name and lights in Vegas, to finally, after a long stretch, have my own burger concept. I saw Jeffrey Sulfur walking down the hallway. And I was recently on Good Morning America. And I gave a really nice shout out to Jeffrey and the Fontainebleau and what he's really created here. And I literally ran after him. And I stopped him. I said, hey, Jeffrey, I just wanted to say, I was about to say thank you for putting my name like before I got those words out of my mouth. And this is a big time guy.
Of course.
Before I got those words out of my mouth, he said to me, he goes, you know, Capon, I just wanted to thank you for the shout out on Good Morning America.
Wow.
It was a Today Show the other day. That really meant a lot to me that you took the time. And I got to tell you, like, I was taken back.
Yeah.
I was like, not speechless, but I'm like, here I am trying to thank this guy for my name and lights in Vegas. He's opening the biggest, baddest hotel in the world right now. And here he is thanking me for giving him a shout out. It was like one of those moments that, like, once again, from the chef saying we all cook with water. I'm actually getting emotional. The chef that's saying we all cook with water. Like, here's a guy that just said, wow, this guy took 5 seconds to say thank you on Good Morning America. And I'm going to thank him for that. It's like, it's the kind of people that you want to be in business with. And again, and a very smart man by the name of John Tisch, who was a dear friend, owner of the Giants, owner of Lowe's Hotel. He said something very profound to me one day. It was recently after COVID. I just lost my dad. I was changing career paths, and we were in business together down at the Lowe's in Miami. I just wanted to let him know that I wasn't going to be involved in that restaurant anymore. And he said something to me very profound that I'll never forget. And it might have been just because my dad had just passed away, and I felt like it was kind of like coming through him a little bit. And he said to me, he said, Capon, if life has taught us one thing, it's not just to surround yourself personally anymore with people that you love, respect, and enjoy, because that's obviously what your family is, but professionally. Because, you know, life is short, man. So for you to be successful at Old Bagel and working with college buddies who are going to, appreciate the opportunity that you're giving to them, you can trust them, and they're going to kill it for you. Like so not just professionally, but, you know, personally, like, and here I am next to this guy, Jeffrey Sulfur, who's thanking me for this opportunity. I'm like, wow, I'll go to war for this guy, man. And Jeffrey Sulfur knows that every time I'm at the Fontainebleau, I'm not just repping Capon's Burgers. I'm not just repping Ito. I'm not just repping Barton. I'm repping the Fontainebleau. Because without the Fontainebleau, none of this other stuff would be able to take place. So whether it's Jeffrey or Brett Molson or Brian O'Shields or David Snyder or Leibowitz or Chef Paul, like, you know, when I send out emails, like, yeah, we might need to course correct a couple things here, but it's always, hey guys, I really appreciate everything you're doing because you're on the ground, you're in Vegas. I'm not there every day. When I am there, I can provide a little bit of fun. But you just gotta remember that we're all in this crazy shit together. No, sidetracked.
No, not at all. I think that's profound of what you said, and I think it's a lot of symbolism within you, man, because you didn't go on Today's Show or Good Morning America. You know how much time there is. You're a professional. You know how much time you have airtime. You're like, I need to make sure that this time is utilized like correctly and professionally. So you saying Fontainebleau, you didn't know he was watching. You just did it around
you're
yourself.
100% right.
You know,
you have 4 minutes to cook 3 dishes.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like you remember Will Ferrell in Back to School. Remember the
Old School?
Old School, yeah, Old School. Remember Old School when he does the what's the contest they have
I forget.
My
favorite one movie of his.
Step Brothers. Stuff. They have Step Brothers is great too, but the scene in Old School, the debate. They have the debate.
Okay.
And you remember Will Ferrell goes blah 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 blah, and the guy's like, "Oh my God, that's Exactly right. And Will Ferrell goes, "What just happened?" Like it all just came out. It's great. You know the scene. And I remember, like, when you go on TV and you have 4 minutes to cook 3 dishes, to do this, and this, and you're going through it all in your head. My only regret is I didn't give a shout out to Brett Muffson, because I love you, Brett Muffson, and I forgot to shout out Brett Muffson's name. But I got it all out.
Of course.
And it's funny because I was in the dressing room with my my PR girl, and I'm not a morning guy. Not a morning guy. This must have been 6:30 in the morning.
I mean, yeah, you're up late.
Yeah, Roddy and I, my partner Roddy and I we have an ongoing joke because he's probably up at 6 o'clock at the gym, and by 5 o'clock when he's winding down, I'm just getting ramped up. So I'm in the PR, I'm in the dressing room with my girl from my PR team. It's 6:30 in the morning. I'm like got my head down, like I'm just like this, like half sleeping, and she's like, you good? You need anything? Like, we're going live in like a half an hour. I'm like, I'm good. And then once it's go time, I'm like,
yeah.
And it all comes out. And then afterwards, I go, how'd I do? She goes, you crushed it. I go, did I get all the points across? She goes, every one of them. I go, did I miss anything? She goes, not really. I'm like, we're good. She goes, great. And it's like, even sitting here with you put a mic in front of me. It's like, let's just go.
Yeah, it's the lights. The lights turn on, and you just
lights,
become
camera,
a different
action.
guy.
Yep.
And then going back to that conversation you had with the restaurant group and being like, I'm going to discontinue, and then obviously the loss of, I don't want to mean to go back to like dark times, but you said you have lost with your father. Because what I've come to realize within the food industry, there's so many times that like when it's good, it's the best. When it's bad, it's like you have all these employees on you, you have the chefs, you have your pride. How did you push yourself through that adversity?
The question was what? The adversity of losing my father? Or?
No, the adversity of the restaurant and the darkness of the rest. Like anytime there's restaurants that like aren't doing well, or any adversity just in general.
Yeah,
within business.
COVID was a big eye opener for a lot of people in the restaurant industry that this is not a sound industry. Like a lot of people left the restaurant industry through COVID because there was just nothing for them. They were left hung out to dry. Including myself, like it was a very challenging time. So, yeah, it's people depend on you not just for a paycheck, but for moral support, for emotional support, and COVID was one of those things that nobody ever saw this coming. Listen, my best friend does mortgages for a living. Okay, he couldn't go to the office anymore, but he was still doing mortgages. You could not go to the restaurants were shut down. Like we forget it.
Yeah, you're not built. Your business is not built on deliveries or takeout.
Eventually we got the deliveries. Eventually we got the takeout. But like a lot of industries, like I know people that like love COVID because now they get to work from home.
Yeah.
And if you I don't do so great on my home because I dilly dally a lot. That's like a dilly dally. But people stop having to go to the office. But if you can still take care of your job from home, whoever thought that you'd be able to work from home and still do your job? COVID actually opened up a lot of doors for people, but it also affected the economy because a lot of other things, like whether it's a coffee shop or a bodega or a dry cleaner, like a lot of people are still losing because of it because people are not in the office every day. So for me, it's like you have to give people, you just have to listen. I'm not sure. Yeah.
You're an optimist.
You got to find your way. And even my dad passing, like I'll tell you one thing about my dad passing, and I think why I'm so comfortable with it. Is we had every conversation we needed to have. We talked about when he wasn't going to be here anymore, talked about what he expected from me, whether it's future relationships with certain people or whatever it may be. There was no rock unturned with him. And would I have loved another 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years with him? Yeah. And was it a little bit too sudden? Yeah. But one thing he always told me was he didn't want to grow old and die. If he couldn't wipe his own ass, it was time for him to go. So he literally fell and bumped his head and kind of stamped his neck a little bit. That kind of took him out. But one thing I'm grateful for is that it was relatively quick. We had nothing left to say or to do, and we traveled the world together. We have incredible memories, experiences together, and I do feel wherever I go, he's still with me. So that's why, call your mom. I'm going to call you when we're done. Call your parents. Appreciate the time with them. And I know all of our parents can drive us crazy. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what's really going to drive you crazy? When you don't have the time to spend with them that you wish they were driving you crazy. Yeah. So, again, man, life is short. Slow the fuck down. Enjoy those moments. Go sit by a lake. Go for a walk. All that kind of stuff. And it sounds easier. And it sounds cheap, but it's not. Because we're all just running. Everybody watches my social media lately.
Yeah.
And they literally say to me, man, you're everywhere. You're unstoppable. You're on the go. But you know what I do every night? I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I do not drink a lot at all. I don't do a lot of drugs. And when I'm home, and my wife has always complimented me on this, my wife has always said to me, you are more present at home than most people I know that are home, more present, more than you are. Meaning, when I'm home, I'm home. You know, taking my son to Old Bagel every Saturday, Sunday morning, wherever my son wants to go for breakfast, I go. And because it's more about spending time with him. So I think, however busy we all may be, don't forget to enjoy the moments that count the most.
And be as present as possible.
Yeah.
And slow the fuck down.
STFD. Yes.
But going off of that is what is next for you. Does the future of because your business and how the VCR started was at using NFTs. So you guys were tech-driven.
Not exactly. We did not start VCR because of NFTs. We started VCR as a modern-day hospitality company.
Okay.
Later on, we came up with the idea. Gary was very big in the NFT space. We came up with the idea of a membership restaurant club based on an NFT. That has now merged a little bit away from the NFTs just a little bit. Now it's more of just a membership-based club. The NFT market kind of went like this a little bit in terms of collectibles, but it's actually hotter than ever. People just don't realize it. But yeah, that's how that's.
No, I agree. I think NFTs is here to stay. I mean, talk about memorabilia and everything. Like, as long as the technology is utilized correctly, it's just the beginning. Like, that was like, dial up and lime wire, music, all of that, and when it started. But in 15, 20 years, you're not going to be able to get. Everything is going to be an NFT when it comes to memorabilia, movie tickets, airplanes, whatever it may be.
And just even about everyday transactions are going to be on the blockchain. It's just,
yes.
It's just sound. Yeah, I agree with you.
And then is there any other aspects of the AI or anything that you're trying to incorporate in the food industry? Because I feel like that's what kind of scares me, of being like, where is food headed in 5 to 10 years? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, there's some technology out there that you really have to get on board with in terms of operating a business. There is some modern day technology, from reservation platforms to ordering systems to inventory platforms that I got to tell you, if you're not using that stuff for scheduling, for payroll, you are losing. You are losing. And it's funny because I'm an old soul, but like Lucas is on top of all that stuff. Because if you're not running your business with modern day technology, you're going to lose. Mm-hmm. And you got to take advantage of this stuff. And look, there's even some. I was very involved with Beyond Meat. Yeah. Which was a
the vegan.
Yeah, Impossible Meat, Beyond Meat. A plant-based burger, so to speak. And it's funny because I watched that market. I watched that market go like this and almost like this, because I think people were so interested in it first, but now I think people are like, what exactly are we eating? Like, the consumer actually got a little smart to say, maybe I'm just better off eating less burgers than eating this thing because I have no idea what it is. And, and I think it's a great product. And it's a great company. There's great people behind it. I did some great work with them, and they were incredibly supportive, especially during COVID and feeding frontline workers. But if from the stock alone, you could watch it go up and then go back down. So I think there's some great technology-driven products that you have to keep an eye on, because there's some good stuff being done. I'm about to work with another company called Mush, who's incorporating
overnight oats.
No, they need to change the name, but it's actually roasted mushrooms that they're incorporating into burger meat.
So it's a little bit more healthier then.
So instead of eating a full burger, it's actually 50% mushrooms, 50% burger.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which, you know what? Maybe that's a better option for me. Is if I really love burgers.
It's like a low-carb tortilla, right?
Exactly.
It's like...
Great analogy. Great analogy. So instead of eating a burger every day, maybe a couple days a week, I'll have the 50-50 burger, as they're calling it, because I can still enjoy that burger. But if I'm really worried about my cholesterol and stuff like that, it's got 50% mushrooms.
Honestly, I think just 50-50 burger is the name. That's awesome. Like, you're right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any names? Do you have any, those technologies that you can remember off the top of your head of what they're called? Or I'll talk to Lucas at the end of this.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that.
There's some really good stuff out there.
So
there's even Resi and Seven Rooms and Blackbird. My buddy Ben Leventhal is coming out with just started launching a company called Blackbird, which is going to be, I think it's pretty much a reward system for restaurants based on NFTs. So the more you use them, the more you're going to get some rewards from great restaurants.
You've done it all. What's next for you?
I think I've definitely not done it all. Definitely not done all. If I'd done it all, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I'd be sitting on an island somewhere with my feet up.
All right, so that's the ambition.
No, I'm just kidding. I've not done it all, and I think if you ever think you've done it all, then you're already lost. I think you need to keep going. I think for a lot of people out there, it's tough. I said, you got to wake up every morning, try and put a smile on your face, and hit the go button. What's next? Listen, we just launched Little Maven. We're sitting here in Capon Shop House, which I'm really excited about for a number of reasons. I live here in Jersey. I was just on the cover of 201 magazine as the king of hospitality. So I'm excited to have something in my backyard to have people come and enjoy and a good meal and each other's company. I'm excited about putting my guy Lucas back to work, giving him a home. I'm excited about building a team here. I'm excited about Fly Fish Club, which will be open in a few months downtown. Capon's Burgers, we opened up one. Hopefully we open up 1,000 one day. You just got to keep going.
I love that, man. Happy hour. This is quick, rapid fire. The most overhyped cuisine. What do you think is the most overhyped cuisine?
Is that what your happy hour is?
Yes.
Happy hour is a quick fire?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about happy hour. Happy hour can drive. Happy hour alone is worth the conversation, because if you have a good happy hour, that could drive a business. I need this bar full every day starting at 5 o'clock, because that spills over into dinner business, and that creates energy, right? It creates bodies. It creates relationships. If this becomes the place to go where people are coming for happy hour, I like that you're calling it happy hour, because I think it all starts with a good happy hour. All right, so what's the question?
That's also very well said. It's true, because I'm thinking about it now. All the hottest spots in Hoboken have a phenomenal happy hour.
Listen,
especially the weekdays.
Most people don't make a dinner reservation until 7 o'clock. Well, we open up at 5. So what are we doing from 5 to 7?
Yes.
I remember back in the day down at Lord Fish Bar, we were dead happy hour. I said, let's start doing dollar oysters. All of a sudden, we had to throw people out of there at 7 o'clock because they didn't want to leave, and people ordered 100 oysters. I'm like, guys, it's not really meant for you to order. It was kind of a gimmick to get people. Now everybody's doing dollar oysters. So, we're doing happy hour specials, a Little Maven now. We do the Maven Burger, only featured during happy hour. You need to get drink specials. And I walked into Little Maven yesterday. It was Thursday. At 5 o'clock, every bar seat, every bar table was packed.
That's awesome.
Because, people like, first of all, you're single, you're young. Happy hour is a fun time. You can eat and drink, relatively inexpensive, meet some good people, and maybe go home after that. I don't know about you, but I don't even like going out to dinner at 8 o'clock anymore. I want to be home.
Definitely. I got the 202, like I told you.
So happy. My wife and I literally went out to dinner at 4 o'clock last week. I had to go to work. She's like, can we just go grab dinner? I said, sure, but I got to go to work. She goes, okay, let's go at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, we had a lovely dinner.
We get the food faster.
Oh, we're so happy. We had a lovely dinner at 4 o'clock.
Now everyone's like on you.
She's so happy to be home at 6:30, and I got to go to work, so it's all good.
What do you think is the most overhyped cuisine?
I just want to say something. The fact that I haven't eaten all 3 of these everything old bagels in front of me, it's like I'm like a fat kid in a candy shop right now. I'm just trying to prove a point, but I know I got some nice.
You got some sandwiches lined up for you, man.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Most overhyped cuisine.
Overhyped cuisine.
How about dish? Give me most overhyped dish.
Overhyped dish. Listen, nothing's overhyped if it's done well, right? How about that? I mean, fried chicken sandwiches are all the craze right now. I will eat a fried chicken sandwich
if it's phenomenal,
every day of my life. Like, overhyped cuisine, some of this stuff is there's too many ingredients and too many things these days. Like, you got to remember, Italian cooking's so good because there's 3 or 4 ingredients. Lucas, what's the most overhyped cuisine right now? What's the most overhyped dish? Yeah, tough one. Listen,
like for me, it would be like fried calamari. Fried calamari is phenomenal, but it's like at a dinner table, and if there's like, I'm with a group of 6 or 8, and we're at a new restaurant, I don't want, let's order something else. I want to try something unique.
I think you're freaking crazy. And this relationship is now over. Because if I ever go to a restaurant that's fried calamari and there's 6 people at the table, we're getting it. Because I'm like, how much are you really going to eat? Like, are we putting fried calamari here? I think that's one of our dishes. Listen, fried calamari.
You have to have it on the menu, right? But I just feel like it's just like...
Listen, there's some staples that, like even chicken parm. You like chicken parm?
I love chicken parm.
We're going to have the best chicken parm on the menu here. And by the way, do I want to eat a whole chicken parm? No. I want a chicken parm at the table, and I'm going to whack that thing into 6.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Slice. So,
are you the guy that orders for everybody? Like when you're out to dinner?
Yeah.
Looks like you look at the menu.
People look at me, throw out the menus. I'm like, if there's anything you want, let me know, but I'm probably just going to order everything. My wife says some people love to go out to dinner with me and people. My wife says some people love to go out to dinner with me and people. With me for dinner, and some people hate it because most people are like, "Oh, we're gonna go to town."
Yeah.
Some people are like, "Oh, we're gonna
dude,
go
my bill." Yeah, my bill.
I'm like, I'm only learning a couple extra things. One of my buddies, his name is Ryan Harwood. He has a company called Pure Wow and Gallery Media. At 1:37 p.m., we were at VCon with his dad, and listen, his dad was like my dad. We went out to lunch one day. His dad had the best time because there were 4 of us. Mm-hmm. There were 4 of us out to lunch. So his dad's looking, what am I going to order? What am I going to order? I said, don't worry, I'm going to order a bunch of things. I got the double burger, the double smash burger. I got the fried chicken sandwich. I got the turkey club, and I think I got pancakes. Yeah. And I had all 3 sandwiches come, and I cut everything into 4. And he's never done this before, so instead of eating a burger,
Of course,
he had
the
a
best.
quarter. He had a quarter of each.
The perfect thing.
And then he didn't know this, but then I told the waiter when we're almost done with the sandwiches, bring the stack of blueberry pancakes. This place is open. Then he had a quarter of a He still talks about it. He goes, when are we going out to eat with Capon again? Like that. And by the way, we should all eat like that. It's like
I
tapas.
totally
It's like
agree.
Tapas, like small
If
portions.
my wife doesn't split her meal, I actually get pissed. We get in an argument. She does that out of spite now.
Dude, when I took my son and my daughter to your bagel place, do you
Yeah.
know how many bagel sandwiches we ordered?
Yeah, I know how many you ordered coming here.
But there was just me and my kid. We ordered like 6, and we
Yeah.
were just like, because like honestly, like when in Rome,
Yeah, you gotta try
Don't get
everything.
me wrong, some are better than others.
Yeah, of course.
Some we finished, some we didn't, and we just want to try them. And now next time we go,
You know
and it's
exactly
funny.
what to
My son screwed up the order, and he knew it. He goes, I can't believe we didn't get the turkey club. I said, I told you, we got 2 different egg sandwiches that were too similar.
Yeah.
and I let him do
I
his
think it was
thing.
probably bacon, egg, and cheese beef thing, or probably something like
Yeah,
that.
we got
Who
2
knows?
that were a little too similar, but they were both good. But I'm like, we needed a lunch item in there. So I also have to
You gotta train them, man. That's what it is. It's the prodigy.
because I take, even when I take, my mom always used to say to me, I have big eyes.
Yeah.
You know what that means? We have big eyes.
No.
I want to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I'm hence a little chubby and I'm battling my weight since I'm 14 years old. I want to eat all. And when I go out, I took my son out to lunch the other day to Brownstone Pancake Factory. We got a stack of pancakes, we got a burger, and we got a bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant. Do you need 3 things for 2 people? Probably not. Did we finish everything? No, but I like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you always like push the envelope a little bit. But that's the whole point of going out to eat, right?
Yeah.
And what
So,
is there
as
any?
far as overhyped food, just make sure whatever you do, I got no problem with jumping on the bandwagon, but make it good. Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna get fried calamari, it better be freaking
It's better be
really
fresh,
good.
right? Nothing
Fresh
is
and
worse than like
well-prepared.
frozen, pre-made calamari. It's
Yeah.
like rubbery.
No, you gotta do it right. Everything
You gotta do it right. How about underhyped? That should be like you're excited to be like promoting more, or you think that you love on a menu that not many people like.
Listen, one of the things
that.
about my menus that, like, I don't want to walk into a restaurant and read a menu, and even as a chef, not know what half the things are.
Fair.
If the server needs to come explain what 12 different ingredients are, I'm like, I'm lost.
Yeah.
I want a menu. I want to look at a menu and literally have to say to myself, oh my God, not what are we ordering? What are we not ordering? Because it's like, yes, 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 yes. I want a menu of relatively greatest hits, things done really well. I consider my food to be approachable and relatable, eatable, which I think are really important things. We just put a linguine with clam sauce on the menu at Little Maven. I'm telling you, it's a freaking 12. It's a 12. And we took off a pasta. We took off a rigatoni with a spicy vodka sauce and lobster. That was a 12. So you want to make sure everything hits really hard.
That's why it's super ideal when you have a tight menu.
Yes.
I need, it's a huge turnoff for me if there's 5 pages. It's like,
Yes.
what is going on?
Go to
dude?
Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, you need one page.
And you know as well as I, as a restaurateur, it's all the same ingredients.
Yes.
It's just all put together.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. There's a couple things. How about this question? What don't I order in a restaurant? I don't order, very often I don't order Reuben. Reuben is one of my favorite sandwiches. You like a Reuben?
Yeah.
I love a Reuben.
I love sandwiches.
I love a Reuben. Love sandwiches. You know what you remind me of, by the way?
Yeah.
You know Noam from Upside Pizza? You got to be Noam from Upside Pizza. And
Yeah.
he just opened up Gal Gal Shawarma.
I saw you do that on the gram. I actually saw Upside Down from somebody else too just recently. That just opened up or something.
go. We're done.
I think it's been like it's on the come up.
So
huh?
yeah, so Noam, who's an entrepreneur like yourself, got in the food space. He opened up. Lori, you want to come say hi? Come say hi, Lori. Look good. Come on, get over here. This is my wife, Lori. I've been telling you about everybody. She is gluten dairy free. She
I got you
clean.
gluten free. I got you 6 gluten free bagels for you.
6? That's all you brought is 6? Whoa. You brought 6?
That's all I
You didn't
had.
bring me a freaking dozen?
I brought you a
man's
dozen of
gonna
other
be
bagels.
pissed.
Last question, selfishly for me, because I have to ask this question before. I'm trying to find a way
Before
to fit
we
it in. but
dive
yeah.
into the old bagel
No,
sandwiches?
before we dive into O'Bagel, myself, and I think there's other people in this certain stage, let's say a young chef, right? And they have an opportunity there. They're working in a restaurant, myself with O'Bagel. I want to go to the next stage. Do you think it should be self-funded, investors, restaurant group? What do you think is the best route? Because you've done it all.
Listen, the less investors you have, the less. Look, there's a pie. It's a pie, right?
Yeah.
So how much of the pie do you want to give away? If you could self-fund it, why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. If you could raise money, we raise money through an NFT.
Yeah.
Like the less hands you have in the pot at the end of the day, the less people you have to answer to at the end of the day. Like if you could raise money, listen, we're raising money for this restaurant right now, right? I've asked a lot of friends and family to invest in this restaurant because I feel very confident in the investment. And I'm also, I told them flat out, this is not a get-rich deal for you guys. This is, you're going to get your money back, you're going to get a return on your money, and you're going to own a small percentage of it. But this is not for you to retire on. So how do you raise money without giving up this table is a pie.
Yes.
Right? You're the one working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You're the one that created up the concept. I'd rather see you with your college buddies give them a small portion. I'd rather be able to give Lucas a piece one day to say, hey, we're working hard. The less people you have that are taking that from day one, the far better off you'll be in the long run. Because if you get the goal is to pay everybody back, right? So once you've paid everybody back, what's left for you? And this is a pie.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather you have your college buddies saying, guys, a 2-year vesting schedule, a 3-year vesting schedule, when we get to this many stores. Because at the end, we're working really hard. The rich get richer. How about,
Yeah.
you're the one breathing in. Listen, even on your day off, you're shooting a podcast.
Yeah.
You're wearing the hat. You're living it. Wherever I go, I am never not working. I am always working. I'm meeting people on the street every day. I'm bringing in new customers. Wherever I am spreading the Capon energy, the Founblue energy, the Little Maven energy, the Ito energy. I would never go on a plane and not talk to the person next to me, and they will eventually be at my restaurant one day. I met a stewardess the other day that went to Capon's Burgers.
No way.
You have to constantly be pushing. So to answer your question, to go ask somebody to borrow $5 million and they own figure out a way to do it. I'm sure you got maybe some family friends who have been successful. Say, guys, this is what I'm looking to do here. I'm looking for an investment. I'm going to pay you back this with this, but after that, I like to it's called a waterfall. You want that waterfall.
So let's do basics. Like, let's say if it's 100. Obviously, a restaurant does not take 100,000, but let's just use basic math. 100,000. I need $100,000.
Yes, I need $100,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay you back $120 on your money over a course of time. You're going to get back $120 on your money, which is a pretty good investment if they get back. You get back $120. They're probably going to want some equity at that point.
Yeah.
Right? If you can get away with just giving them back $120 on that money, God bless it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm going to pay you back $120 on your money, but after that, you own 2%. Whatever the percentage is.
Do you give them 100% to start until you get your money back? Or is it 50-50?
Are you crazy? No.
Yeah.
No. You should always be taking a management fee and stuff like that. But no, this is a conversation for you and I to have.
Okay.
But the answer is no. You're gonna take what you need. You're gonna give back a pro bono. But you want to hold as much of that pie as possible. And by the way, you also, like the people we're raising money from in this restaurant, I want them to be able to say they're an owner, they're an investor. Because I'm sourcing people that I know that are going to bring business and drive business to the restaurant.
Yeah, and also feel proud to be like, I'm a part of a
You got
restaurant.
to go to Capon Shop House. I'm an investor.
Yeah.
I'm literally hand-selecting people that want to be involved in this restaurant. But for you, whether it's Old Bagel or stuff like that, take what you need. Don't take more than you need.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get greedy. Take what you need. And then give back a pro bono. And then a small piece.
Hell yeah. I really, really appreciate you, man. It was
Appreciate you.
No, the fact that, like, how I admire your growth and, like, honestly, where you are is, like, what I strive for, honestly. And I appreciate your, like, humility of just being okay with this. You were on the Today Show, Good Morning America.
That's great.
And the fact that you're, like, doing this, you didn't even ask me too many questions. You just said, yeah, sure. Here's the date.
At the same time, I'm going to throw this back at you. You got 10 bagel places.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have 20 pretty soon. You're hustling your ass off. You're 33 years old. You're doing a podcast, so right back at you, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, dude. Let's dive into some Old Bagel sandwiches, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.